Oh, we're live, pal. We are, in fact, live and in show enough, live in color right now. All right, let's get it started. Party people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. Some of you old time followers, viewers might recognize that. Maybe not on TikTok. So here's how we're doing these things right now. Here's a quick programming note. Since Instagram says I no longer have 1,000 followers, which is weird. And they also say that you can only go live if you have 1,000 followers or more. We got to do these on TikTok. Hold on. Lost my hat. Okay, slightly more secure. Lost the top of okay. All right, just losing shit all over the place. All right. Drink is gone. Hat's still on. So is the review. Ignore all that music. This is not copywritten, or it is copywritten. Forget that music. I'm not putting that music on. That's not real. That's not really music. You're tripping. You're tripping with the copyright. That's not really music. I don't know what you're listening to. You're listening to me. Is what you're listening to. Party people in the place to be. So yeah, go if you're on Instagram. Oh my gosh, with the damn music. Maybe they don't want streamers. Anyway, with the damn music, I am Surreal469 on everything. SURREAL. The number 469 on everything, including Instagram. I prefer to do this live on Instagram than on TikTok, just because I prefer the settings differently there. But here we are. We got to do it on TikTok, and I'll transfer it elsewhere, wherever you're watching this right now. Yeah. I just left one battle after another, and that crow just took away an entire bag of, looks like cookies, but he dropped the bag. One battle after another, the Leo DiCaprio movie. This is getting some buzz. Paul Thomas Anderson wrote and directed it. Some people, here's that damn music again. Forget that music, that's not me. You're not listening to what you think you're listening to, see? Yeah, see? This movie is partially, it's another one of these movies. And here's one of the problems with movies and how they're sold a lot of the times. There's a lot of the times they're sold to tell you that they are a certain thing when they're not quite a certain thing. So this movie, part of the buzz around the movie is some political charge. I mean, not really. I mean, yes, but not really. Not the actual story that's being told. So the actual story that's being told is really a father-daughter story. You are told it is pure political. It's not. It's a father-daughter story that is in a political world. That is in a world with a resistance fighter, etc. That's not what the movie's about. It's a father-daughter story. Which made me think almost immediately as I was in the theater. I was like, how does Leo not have random kids running around? Oh shit, I forgot to fucking, damn, we have to go back. We are gonna have to go back. I forgot to fucking, I have to go back. I have to walk back. I'll put this stuff down. I have to walk back. I forgot to. This is why I don't like coming to the Pike, because you gotta get your parking validated. I hate that shit. But this was the only theater showing it around the time I was gonna be out and about and needed to get it shown. Damn, we're gonna have to navigate through the fucking music maze again. All right, well, bear with me, party people, as we do. But anyway, this movie's not about that. This movie is a father-daughter movie, as it's essentially taken in a political resistance world. That's pretty much all it is. It's long. It's very long. I knew it going in. It was listed as 2 hours 45 minutes. It felt like it. There are definitely some characters in it. There was really a lot of the stuff that, so like there were some people around me. There was one person on the side who he very specifically came for the political message, and you could tell he, associated certain things with certain political things. But again, I think that's more distraction. Like, funnily enough, to me, this feels like first off, you can't get too. And I've heard some of the things about this. Oh, it's Antifa. Oh, it's a message of political resistance. Blah blah blah. Political resistance. They had Budweiser product placement. They had Dodge. You can't have political resistance with product placement. that ain't how political resistance works. If your political resistance comes with a commercial, you ain't politically resistant. You know what I mean? You ain't politically resistant. If Leo DiCaprio still flew on his private jets to get to and from every filming location he had to get to, you ain't politically resistant. Sorry. Wah. I don't care. Fuck what you heard. You can't be politically resistant in those circumstances, right? So, Warner Brothers is not going to sponsor a politically resistant movie. Sorry. They are $1 billion company. I don't give a shit about political resistance. They give a shit about the bottom line. All right? Now, if your politically resistant movie just happens to be good, fine. But this movie, I'll tell you what. Because this is still non-spoiler. And we will get to the spoiler section. I will alert you when we get to spoilers. It was made very well, this movie. Nothing was out of place in terms of filming. Let's do it this way. You see me better. Yeah. Nothing was out of place in terms of filming. Nothing was done shoddily. The relationship and there's a lot of stuff in the trailer that gets, for lack of a better term, spoiled during the movie. That trailer showed a lot, including some really good jokes. But the relationship between DiCaprio and Tiana, I've seen that kind of relationship before. I've been in that kind of relationship before. Yeah, let's say before, in some aspects. There's certainly some aspects of that relationship that are very, very, very familiar. So it felt a little natural. It felt more natural than it probably should have. If we're being perfectly honest, there's definitely some aspects of it that are like, let's not forget, Leo and hi. Parking foundation. Thank you. Leo's still Leo. Although he's in this one, he's not playing, suave, debonair, ladies' man, young guy on the block. Like they're trying to age him up. They're trying to show him aged up. They're trying to show him. Thank you. They're trying to show him as a dad, as somebody who's like essentially he's a rundown resistance fighter. He's been in the trenches for a while, or been on the run for a while, so he's shabbied up a little bit, but even then, beforehand, just on the surface, looking at them side by side, him and Tiana, that's an interesting combination. That's not a combination to be like, sure, they fit together, hand and glove, those two. Like, that's a slightly odd, but it's carried by her sexual energy that she puts forth in this movie. And to me, here's the thing. She's not what you would call, or what I would call necessarily, she's not conventionally attractive. Certainly not in the face. She's definitely got some harsher, more striking physical traits, some stronger traits, particularly in her face. So I wouldn't necessarily, in her face, and longtime viewers know how I feel about short hair on women. So not conventionally attractive, but still gives off a sexual energy. Like I can see how, that's gonna get you. I can see it. I understand it. From my vantage point, as someone who would swipe left on her, I understand why and or how, in meeting, close quarters, etc., Leo's falling for it. Leo's gonna get it. So that works. There's essentially two sets of bad guys in this one. Really, actually, there's a few not great. There's a few bad guys. I guess 2.5 really quote unquote bad guys in this one. And at the end, and Regina Hall gives a good performance. It's funny. I went from not liking Regina Hall because I had only ever seen her in not great performances, like just over the top, trash, stupid performances, to I think over the last maybe 5-ish years, there was something else I can't even remember, but I'm like, oh, Regina Hall's really good, actually. She's a really good actress. She really pulls off a lot here. Tiana Taylor, she's really good in her role. Leo does do a lot of heavy lifting in this. Benicio del Toro is really good in his part. The action works very well. There's a scene near the end where I knew I was encapsulated because the scene takes place in the desert. They're going up and down, and I felt every up and down. And I'm never the type of guy that feels all that. I'm not the type of guy that, gets motion sick in movies or whatever. I wasn't motion sick, but I felt it. Like almost a roller coaster effect. So very well shot. The action's very good. The dialogue is pretty good. You can follow along with it, even though there's a lot happening. Very dense. Very dense dialogue, because they got to cover a whole lot. And that's interesting, because it's still almost 3 hours, and they still cover a whole lot at a fairly brisk pace. And good for them for doing that. The world feels real, feels pretty lived in. And again, the whole, oh, it's super political thing. Yeah, I mean, it's super political in the same way, like, hold on, let's see. The phone's gonna get attached to the car right now. Whew. Oh, no. Turn that down, no. Fucking YouTube music, shut up. Okay, it's super political in... Where's I go back to continue? Remove your background noise so viewer can hear you clearly. Alright, we still here? We still live? I think we're still live. I didn't mean to do that, what I did. But it's super political in the same way that, like, sure. Are we still on? Let me see. We got anybody in here? I actually only hit out of there. Oh, there you go. I don't see like a timer or anything, but everything still seems to be moving. Uh-oh, I'm going the wrong way. All right, there we go. We are still live. Okay, so it's political. Like I said, it's political in that the world is set in a world with the military after them, and they're a part of a resistance movement, right? You kind of know what they're like. You can tell what some of the themes of the resistance movement are, but it's not really important. It's actually not really important what the resistance movement is, because again, that's not the story being told. The story being told is a family drama, Really, in this hyper realistic world, that's what's happening. It's a family drama. I guess we can. That's all for the non-spoilers I can say. I can say it was very well made. The 3 hours didn't drag. I'll say that. The first act was a little, actually probably the second act. The second act, near the end of the first act, before we get to the actual action, when they kind of settle down for half a bit, that maybe could have been trimmed up a little, but it's not terrible because you can kind of understand, you can kind of get to know at least the Leo character a little bit more. The daughter, we don't really get to know that well. We get to know her after stuff has already happened. Oh, you still charge me $6, you fucking... Even with the validation? You fucking... This is why I hate coming to the Pike. This is why I hate coming to the Pike. Especially for movies. Print me a receipt. I'm getting this taken off my taxes. Come here. Go ahead, Tacoma. You are in my way. Good boy. Anyway, what was I saying? This is why I hate coming to the damn Pike. We don't get to know the daughter all that well until about the third act, really, about the end of the second act, the third act. And even then, we don't even really get to know her really until the third act. She's still finding out more stuff about the past of her parents before and this isn't really spoilers. This is very generic. About the past of her parents before we really get to know her. So, I would have liked to get to know her more. I know Leo's a big star. It's easy to get to know him. But that's part of the thing. It's easy to get to know him. Especially if the end is going to be this dependent on her. Now, they pull it off. They pull the ending off. The ending is very dependent on the daughter, and they pull it off. But it would have been an easier road to hoe if we knew more about her before we got there. If we learned more about her before we got there. We don't really know much, and that I think hinders her character a little bit. We could flesh her character out a little bit more, and I would have liked that. I think that's it for the non-spoilers. We can get to the spoiler section. I don't have anything to sip. I do have something to sip, actually. So, as per usual, I'm telling you the spoiler section is coming up, but we won't get into the spoiler section until I finish sipping. So, I'm going to take this sip, and then we'll dip into spoiler territory. All right, so Teyana Taylor and DiCaprio are resistance fighters. She is a gunslinger. She wants to shoot everything and bang, bang, and burn the whole thing down. DiCaprio is an explosive expert. We don't necessarily see them meet, but we know that they're working together in the resistance alongside Wood Harris. That's where Ann Waffles is. Oh, that used to be a little cafe. Cause it's on this business building. Anyway, I'm getting to that age where I know that used to be and that used to be anyway, so they know each other, and she gets turned on by all the resistance stuff they're doing. They release
hostages undocumented people at the border. They release illegal immigrants at the border, people at the border trying to come to America at the border, however you want to phrase it. They release people at the border. They stick up, what's his name? Mrs. Madonna. What's his name? Short fuse. What's his name? Sean Penn. I Am Sam. They release, he has an I Am Sam moment in this where he's yelling at the daughter at the end. And he sounded just like I Am Sam. He sounded just like I Am Sam. I deserve to be. He sounded just like I Am Sam. Anyway, DiCaprio and they fall in love and based around the Resistance, and she gets turned on every time that they do something. But, and I think this is part of why. So I think there's a lot of, if you know anything about movies whatsoever, the first act you get pretty quickly. So the first thing they do is they release the people at the border, and the head army guy there at the border who's over everything. They track him down, or she tracks him down, and she holds him hostage and is about to put him in the cage. But before she puts him in the cage, she makes sure to get him aroused, get him hard, basically for her, and then put him in the cage. And that triggers something in him, which may or may not have already been there, but that triggers something in him. And so now he's essentially attached to Tiana Taylor. Tiana. I'm gonna call her Tiana. I don't even really know her last name. I may have seen her in some stuff. I can't even remember. So she does that, and along the way, as they're still pulling off other heists, he finds her, not heists or jobs or whatever. He finds her on one of the gimmicks that they're doing as she's about to plant a bomb, and she tells him to meet him at a hotel. Oh, I could do that here, I guess. I ain't gonna doing that. He tells her to, I guess I'll stop there and then go on everything else along the way right there. So he tells her to meet him at a hotel. She doesn't. There's no left turn you can make there, pal. Good job. She doesn't tell DiCaprio this though, while they're still going on their adventures. He says, you can do whatever you want to. You can do the Resistance thing. Just come to the room. She comes to the room, and now mind you, she could have killed him a couple of times. She could have killed him in the bathroom when he catches her. She could have killed him a couple of times, but she doesn't. Instead, she goes to the room and she has sex with him. And she ends up pregnant. Very shortly, she ends up pregnant. And ta-da, of course, if you know anything about storytelling, anything about movies, if you've seen bad movies, if you've seen bad TV shows, good ones, doesn't matter. You know what's happening. You know almost immediately. You should know immediately. I knew immediately. I was like, oh, so the daughter is his. The daughter is Sean Penn's. It's not Leo DiCaprio's. Ding, ding, ding. Duh. No shit. But she ends up pregnant. That's where you see the scene of her shooting the gun with the belly of the desert. She's drunk there. Regina Hall is there. She's essentially the friend of Tiana. And DiCaprio, at that point, he's starting to feel a little bit different. He's starting to get more in dad mode, get more in father mode. She says a line like she doesn't even realize she's pregnant. And along that path, she gets postpartum and leaves. Essentially, after the baby's born, she gets postpartum and leaves DiCaprio with the baby. But as she does, she goes on more heists. She goes on more adventures, more rebel-rousing adventures, including a bank robbery where the guard just is determined to defend these other people's money that he won't see a cent of for defending it with his life. But he defends it with his life because Tiana kills him. And so she goes on the run. She gets caught very quickly. She gets caught. The whole thing falls apart. She gets caught. And as she gets caught, Sean Penn is in the interrogation room, finds her, and is like, you can get out of this. Basically, you can get out of this if you love me. And so she not even in the interrogation room, it's a hospital room. She goes for it. She rats out her friends. He says, all you have to do is name names and I can get you out of here. And she does it. She names names and she, this parking lot is parking. This is typical one of these parking lots. You got it right there in the shade. Oh, buddy. That's the spot I was going to get. But I'll get this one. How about that? Sean Penn says you can go free. You just have to name names and you can go free. Puts her in witness protection. She names names. Wood Harris dies. A bunch of people get caught. She stays there for a hot minute. Sean Penn goes to meet her with he's super. He's like a throwback a little bit to old school wounded soldiers. Like he walks super straight, but probably has a battle wound at some point. His hair is fucked up, and he goes to meet her at the place with a bunch of roses because he's gonna try to woo her. But then he happens to have a battering ram, blows the door open, and finds that she's gone, and with a note that says, "This pussy don't pop for you." Sweetie, it already did. Sweetie, it already did. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I think this movie's about the duality of a couple of different characters, right? Because Sean Penn is, this, for lack of a better term, ice guy, but he's in love with the super straight-laced, almost uber white guy who's fallen for Tiana Taylor. I think that's her name, is Tiana. Who's fallen for Tiana, and Tiana is at least decided to fuck him, which is like she already had DiCaprio, was fucking him all the time, but then decided to fuck this guy that's wildly against what she believes in anyway, without a rubber. Anyway, even if you're gonna do that kind of dirt, no protection, none. Okay, so she gets postpartum. She leaves. DiCaprio. So she gets found. Witness protection. She's on the run. Everybody's cracking heads, and that's when DiCaprio has to take off. So DiCaprio takes off with the baby. They go off to live somewhere in the woods somewhere. And I thought, because where they go to live someplace in California, Tiana goes off someplace in Mexico. We see her crossing the Mexican border. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a reunion at the end with DiCaprio, the daughter, and Tiana. No, it's not. We don't see Tiana again for the rest of the movie. We don't see her again. We hear a letter from her, but we don't see her again. So DiCaprio and the daughter are hiding out for over about 15 years or so. And what happens that she gets caught? What's his name? He gets Sean Penn. He gets asked to be in this Christmas Adventurers Club, which is code for not KKK, because KKK is more open about their shit. This is like a super society of uber white guys who are all about the purity of the race from way on high, right? At least in this movie. And so they recruit Sean Penn, and they say in the interrogation, and this is interesting because they have the guy who played from Leverage. He played Nate's old boss, who refused. What's going on, Braxton? His old boss who refused to okay Nate's son's insurance claim and basically got him killed. Ian, I think was his name. So, and I recognized him immediately. And D.W. Moffat from For Your Love. I recognized him immediately, starring Holly Robinson Pete and Tamala Jones and James LeJour, one of my favorite sitcoms from the 90s. And there's also, I'm pretty sure, the president from Scandal. So they are part of the members of this elite table there that's questioning Sean Penn. And one of the questions is if he's ever engaged with an interracial relationship. And so he lies and says he hasn't. And he goes off to find the evidence of his interracial relationship, because while they're doing their thing, he stalks DiCaprio and Tiana and sees that DiCaprio like grabs her ass in one of the things, so the jealousy pipes up in him immediately. I don't know that he necessarily knows about her having I know he does, because he makes that clear in the witness protection. He does know about the daughter, but leaves it be until he's about to join the white supremacy club. And so he needs to go clean that up. And so he chases her down. Regina Hill finds her and is about to take her to safety. DiCaprio then he's separated from them because she's at a dance when all this goes down, and he's at home. Then he gets the call from his comrades that the chase is on, and he's got to get back into. He doesn't even get back into spy shape. He kind of stumbles through. It's not like the Equalizer or anything like that. Like, he stumbles through to the end of it, but he still has like some skills, but he stumbles through a lot of it. It's interesting. Like, he doesn't like re-earn his stripes. Like, he's stumbling through basically almost all the way through the end, but it still works for some reason. That's a good point in it. And so you've got Sean Penn chasing after them to try to track down the girl to find out if she's his daughter, and if she is, to take care of the problem. Somewhere along the way, the white supremacists find out that Sean Penn has this little secret out there, and now they're on the hunt. So you've got, I said 2.5 bad guys because Tiana is not a good guy. Tiana's not a good guy. Tiana's kind of an ass. Tiana's kind of a prick in this. The way she treats DiCaprio, especially, I know the postpartum depression is what's fueling her reactions to DiCaprio, but the way she is with him is not great. The fact that she fucked Sean Penn at all in the first place without a rubber is another not good thing. And then, if you are into the resistance thing, the fact that she ratted out the resistance, she got people killed. She ratted them out and got people killed. She didn't keep her mouth shut. She ratted people out and got them killed. So, not great. Not great. And I guess you could say she did it for her daughter, but, I mean, they weren't going to kill her daughter. Like, they would probably put her in foster care, right? If the resistance didn't come and grab her. So, and she's supposed to be from a long line of resistance leaders. Like, there's a scene with DiCaprio at the dinner table with Tiana's mom talking about the history of resistance fighters. So it's not like the daughter couldn't have been okay, because she came up like that. And what was she going to do? Yeah, Tiana's not great. So that's why I say 2.5. Tiana's not great. You got the white supremacists coming after the daughter, and you have Sean Penn coming after the daughter. But along the way, DiCaprio goes and chases her down. Like I said, is essentially taken. He gets help along the way from other resistance fighters to find the daughter. And at the end, the daughter ends up having some skills to help get herself out of the situation. Now, we see a little bit of that early because she's taking some form of martial arts. I don't think it was really clear which form of martial arts, unless you really know martial arts. Maybe I missed the sign that said it, but she's taking some form of martial arts, and DiCaprio gave her some kind of instructions on, like, when you get caught, what do you do? What do you say? If somebody says this to you, do you trust them? This, that, and the other. We don't see her like training with guns until Regina Hall comes and gets her, and then she trains more with guns at the safe location, which is like, okay, but I kind of would have liked to seen her, at least a little bit in the woods, you know what I mean? Like, know a little bit more about that. But it comes in handy at the end, I guess, because she does shoot down the white supremacist that's coming to chase her. But again, I would have liked to seen the base nugget of that earlier in the movie than we see it. Because her being able to fight, okay, that's cool, but fighting and weapons handling are two different things. So I would have liked them to establish that better earlier on. But fine, we can ignore that, maybe. But yeah, at the end, DiCaprio and the daughter end up safe. He finds her after she escapes with the help of a tracker who Sean Penn ditches her off to kill her. But he says he doesn't do kids, but he will take her to, white supremacy camp so that they can figure out what they're going to do with her. But then he has second thoughts and he comes in and he shoots and mows them all down. I guess he gets mowed down too. And so everybody dies except for her, and she takes off. And so yada, 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 car chase in the desert. That's where the motion sickness comes in. And it ends with her outsmarting the white supremacists on the hills. And again, that's very smart. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more establishment of her ability to do that earlier on than we got. And maybe that's why the movie was so long, because they knew they had to establish some extra stuff at the end. But it works better than it really should for the little establishment that they put on it. And yeah, let's see. And we end with a letter from Tiana to, I guess, that she sent to the daughter, and then the daughter hears of a protest going on in Oakland, and she, I guess, is still in California, and she drives 3 hours to go do the protest. And DiCaprio, after all these years of not having a phone, learns how to take a selfie. Is this DiCaprio trying to get into his old man bag now? He's, for what? He's still gonna be on a yacht somewhere fucking a 22-year-old. Fucking a 22-year-old at least for the next 2.5 years, and then ditching her because that's his life. Because why wouldn't it be? If I could have that life, wouldn't you? Hey, oh, DiCaprio, he's so just shut up, ladies. You know, if you could be on a yacht, fucking getting a train run on you by the rookie class of the NFL of 2025, you wouldn't say a peep. So shut up. Overall, this movie is good. It's very well made. The hype behind it, the crux of it is, and this is the other part, I would have liked more development of the relationship between DiCaprio and the daughter. We see them, typical, teenage girl, I want to have more freedom, you can't have more freedom type, argument early on. And they're separated for so long in the movie that, they're separated for so long in the movie that knowing that she's not his daughter does add a bit of separation between them, a bit more separation between them, right? Because it's very apparent that, it's very apparent that Sean Penn is the father of the daughter. So Leo DiCaprio is an unknowing stepfather in this scenario. And I would have still liked to seen more of their relationship before the kidnapping happens. And they had a chance to do that, I think. There's a scene where DiCaprio is like at a parent-teacher conference, and he's you can see that he's like not a great parent. He's vaping in the room and talking about the history and stuff like that. I still would have liked, they could have changed that scene to another scene where, again, that wasn't entirely necessary. It was a good scene, but it wasn't entirely necessary. And they could have traded that scene for a more bonding scene between him and his daughter, because again, there's, for the majority of the rest of the 2 hours, for like 2 hours and for like 2 straight hours, over 2 straight hours, they're not together. So them not being together, so that you have to feel that more in his veins, because it's almost like he's just kind of running. There's essences where it's almost kind of like he's just more running away from Johnny Law cracking down on him than it almost is that he's running towards his daughter. Like, yes, there's still the desperation of him running towards his daughter, and that's the weight of DiCaprio being such a good actor. But had they established the father-daughter relationship earlier on, it would have carried more weight longer than the movie. This movie probably didn't need to be 2 hours and 42 minutes. It probably could have gotten away with 2:15, maybe 2:20, maybe 2.5 if you really have to cram some stuff in. But it didn't have to be 2:42 because they could have front loaded a lot of stuff, just a couple more things they could have front loaded to make it front and moved the Sean Penn story further back so that or made it more ambiguous, but it was readily apparent, and given Tiana a better reason to fuck Sean Penn than just because, or just for the power, or whatever the fuck. And then the white supremacists end up killing Sean Penn anyway. So Sean Penn ends up getting shot by the white supremacists. He recovers somehow. He gets shot in the face. He recovers, goes to the white supremacists to plead his case, and they gas him and kill him, and then burn him. And see, I would have liked for us to be able to see him like waking up from that, but you didn't see that. So had they front loaded some stuff, had they made the Sean Penn thing well, I guess they couldn't have, because that's the whole impetus of him chasing her in the first place. It's not, him chasing the daughter just because he still loves the mom doesn't carry as much weight as him chasing the daughter because it's his daughter. So, okay, you can keep that, but then you still have to front load Leo DiCaprio's relationship with the daughter more than just her as a baby. You know what I mean? You still have to front load that a bit so that it carries further along in the story as he's chasing her down. That's my 2 cents. The overall out of $15, and I didn't pay $15 because it's Tuesday matinee. Overall out of $15, I would say, one battle after another is probably worth a good, I would say, is it probably a good 12 and a half, maybe to $13, $13.15, 15, because it's long. It doesn't feel overly long. Highest to lowest felt overly long. It doesn't feel overly long. It's not necessarily outstaying its welcome. It just could have been a little trimmer. It just could have been a little tighter, and they could have moved some of the stuff, and they could have been a little tighter. I could have seen more of the relationship between DiCaprio and the daughter, and I could have seen more of the daughter's training that pays off at the end of the movie. So on those aspects, I would probably keep it towards 12 and a half to 12.50 out of 15, as opposed to the 13 maybe. Like, yeah, if I'm being super harsh on those aspects, I say 12.50. If I'm not, I'd say 13. So split the difference, 12.75. If you wanna, out of $15, it's good, it's well made, it's well acted. It's like I said, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it could have been trimmer, and those aspects didn't. And they didn't. Here's the thing about those aspects: they didn't irk me, but they could have been done better, right? It's not one of those things that's like, oh, this is such egregious. This sucks so badly. They don't suck bad. They don't suck, those aspects. They just could have been done better. You feel me? You get me? They just could have been better. But that's my take on one battle after another. I want to know what you think, party people. Let me know what you think down there in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe on all the things. You will see this later on all the other socials media platforms. I am Surreal469 on everything. SURREAL. The number's 469. This November, if you're in the SoCal area, you will get to see me on stage again. Yeah, it's a wonderful life. I am playing basically every male character other than George Bailey, other than George the Guardian Angel and the Evil Banker. I'm playing basically everybody else. So find me at Newport Theater. There's going to be Newport Theater Arts Center, I think it's called, Newport NTAC. There's going to be more information dropping on the social media, so follow all those. The main project I'm working on is the Potacito. I'm getting back to that sooner than you think, folks. This vacation has been great, but I got to get back to it sooner than later. The Potacito, P-O-D-E-C-I-T-O. You can find that on all the socials media, just like this one right here that you're looking at right now, as well as thepotacito.podbean.com. Follow up as we're about to get into the book High Stakes Game. That's where you can follow me. Like, share, subscribe, and until next time. Get this wrong hand and the off button is over there. I feel like DiCaprio learned how to take a selfie. All right. Peace.